If you have not noticed, Kamala Harris is moving to the right on certain policies. And I always push back to people who want to criticize Republicans that have these positions. I want you to make sure you're criticizing Kamala Harris for now having these same positions as well. But that's what she's been doing. If you've paid attention to her positions when she ran for president in 2020 versus how she is now, whether it's healthcare, whether it's fracking, etc. But this is being called out on corporate media. She is trying to basically move as far away from progressivism as possible. So you have to remember when she selected Tim Walz, remember Nancy Pelosi said that Tim Walz was not progressive. She said he's a moderate, straight down the middle, right? So keep that in mind when you think about Kamala Harris. Here is one of the ways she moved to the right. And shout out to Case Study QB for this. James Carville calls this out about Kamala Harris, how she's been flip-flopping on some of these key issues. But here's one example of her moving to the right on certain issues. Listen to this.
Well, by my plan, by 2045, we will have basically zero emission vehicles, only 100%.
By the way, that wall will never get built.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
You support the Medicare for All bill. I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
And the Democrats' elder cue ball, James Carville, is worried Harris went too far to the left in 2019 and will have a hard time walking it back.
Ineffective answer for 2019, which was a disaster, which is not good. I really moved to the left in the primaries. And she needs overarching answers to place all that in context. I think she will have one. That's the number one thing that worries me.
So that was James Carville saying that Kamala Harris was too far to the left when she ran for president last time.
This is the problem, Jessica, isn't it? You know, perhaps if you're a Democrat, why not just be the same person all the time? You know, why adopt a different persona before an election, which is supposed to be centrist, and then when you get in, all of a sudden you go radical left? Why be two people? It's like having a secret family, Jessica, that you hide from other people.
So this is pretty standard fare that someone who has run before had policies that they don't necessarily implement while they're in office. And the closest proxy for what Kamala Harris would be is who Kamala Harris was as VP and part of the Biden-Harris ticket. And I understand that that is a problem for some people, but you cannot run from that. You can run from a position you took in 2019. And we've discussed this before. You know, I think that she could do very well to roll the clips, right? Show me what I said, and I'll explain to you about how different it is once you're actually governing, and that you can't get things like that passed. Something like a Medicare for All, for instance. A lot of people wish that we could have great public health care and that you didn't need private health insurance, but they wouldn't go and say you should eliminate private health insurance, and that's how President Biden.
Communists would say that.
That's not true. All over Europe, they're not communists.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
But all over Europe, wealthy people get private health insurance because the other system sucks.
But they're not. But the people who advocate for public health insurance are not communists, and a lot of people do. When I was there, I used the NHS. Are they though?
I lived in London, and it was terrible. I got my own private doctor.
Same.
Actually moved in with me.
That's a beautiful story. But I think that people are going to have a lot of trouble pinning her down as just a massive flip-flopper, looking at...
Pinning her down, Jessica.
Come on.
I think you need to make a correction right now.
Jessica, come on. Pinning her down, really?
I can't today. Whatever. When you are competing against Trump, who has a long record of doing... I'm for a national abortion ban. I'm not...
Talk about her.
Well, but I'm talking about the race that she's participating in, and she's running against someone who wants to ban TikTok, then doesn't want to. I'm for a national abortion ban. No, now I'm not. I'm for visas for highly skilled migrants. Now I'm not. Those are the standards by which she's going to be judged, which I think will be a help for her if she is coming back from taking positions that are not that popular.
Shout out to Case Study QB there in the chat. What's going on, Case? Case does awesome clips that you see on this show lots of times. So that is one example there of Kamala Harris moving to the right when you look back at where she stood in 2019, when she was running for president at that point in time. Yeah, she has moved further to the right. Now, what's hilarious to me is the conversation there about healthcare. No, that's not communism. People need to look up the definition of communism. And yes, a lot of countries in Europe do have universal healthcare. So the people there don't have to worry about a medical debt. They don't have to worry about having health insurance that's going to cover certain procedures or whatever, or their health insurance being tied to their job. Like, they don't have to worry about that. They know regardless, as a resident there, they are going to have health care. And that's important. Now, she supported Medicare for All when she ran last time, and then she got so much pushback from the media about it, she decided to change her mind and say that she did not support Medicare for All. Now, she's done this on a number of issues, right? So some of these people that were like Medicare for All, they turned around and changed the word to access to health care. Well, I mean, technically, all of us have access. Any of us can walk into an emergency room. You may not necessarily have, a primary care, doctor, but any one of us can walk into an emergency room. So just keep that in mind. Now, I want to show you how she's moving to the right when it comes to business. This is also Case Study QB sharing this here. Listen to how Kamala Harris would fare when it comes to the business community.
Of course, about regulation too. Are we going to keep Lena Khan or not?
It's a great question. I think a lot of people in the tech industry are sort of hopeful about Harris. She is someone who has been sort of pro-immigration, or not immigration, innovation, and she's really worked a lot on artificial intelligence. And so there are some indications that she could potentially be more pro-business or business-friendly than Biden was. I've been reporting that she's met with some of the biggest names on Wall Street. CEOs have come to both her residence and the White House, so she's certainly been picking the brains of CEOs and Wall Street, trying to get their assessment of really how the Biden administration and their state of regulation has impacted them. So she's certainly going to be someone who has a listening ear, but again, still a Democrat here.
So you hear that? So Kamala Harris moving to the right on business. She's for the business community. Remember all of those Wall Street donors that came in to support her the moment it was announced that she was going to be the candidate? And it said it right here again. Kamala Harris could be potentially more pro-business than Biden was. So everybody see this? I did reporting that she has met with some of the biggest names on Wall Street. So keep that in mind. So are you for the people or are you for the corporations? She's for the corporations. Remember, Kamala Harris was selected early on by that Clinton circle when she was running for Senate. They were reaching out to her then. And Donald Trump was donating to Kamala Harris as well. So everybody keep this in mind. Again, all these people move in the same circles together. Now, foreign policy. She's moving to the right when it comes to foreign policy, and they're calling it out on CNN. Shout out to Case for this one as well.
To be honest, I watched Kamala Harris's remarks live at the DNC, and her words when it came to Ukraine, to NATO, to standing with our allies, to supporting Israel's rights to defend itself, sounded closer to a Republican than what we've heard from Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
Not to lead into
I don't know how she's going to lead, but the words are right. To be honest, I watched Kamala Harris's remarks live at the DNC, and her words when it came to Ukraine, to NATO, to standing with our allies, to supporting Israel's rights to defend itself, sounded closer to a Republican than what we've heard from Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
Notice how they tried to cut her off when she said that Kamala sounded closer to a Republican. She did. She sounded like a freaking war hawk. She sounded like a typical neocon. And this is the person that everyone was saying, she's so progressive. She's so much more further left than Joe Biden. Right? This is the person that people were talking about. Now, Whitley, who I believe works at News Nation as well. Whitley Yates, she kept a timeline of all of these positions that Kamala Harris has changed on. So shout out to Whitley. Can we give Whitley a shout out? Okay. Whitley Yates says this is why it is important to get policies in writing. August 16th, 2024. Kamala, I'm going to provide first-time home buyers with $25K to assist them with a down payment on a new home. August 29th, 2024. Kamala, it's a down payment tax credit. You have to pay the $25K first. Does everybody remember when she announced this plan of hers and people got excited and said, Kamala's going to give us $25,000 to help us with the home if I'm a first-time home buyer, first generation? And I was like, yeah, don't that sound a little bit too good to be true? Wasn't honest about that. So you see that? It's a tax credit. We'll go on because Whitley kept a long list. Fracking. September 14th, 2019, presidential candidate Kamala, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. October 7th, 2020, Vice President Harris, Joe Biden will not ban fracking. August 29th, presidential nominee, no, I do not want to ban fracking. I said that in 2020. That's Kamala Harris, of course, moving to the right on climate. But she's progressive according to some people. Let's keep it moving. I told you they watered down what it means to be a progressive. Medicare for all and eliminating private insurance. January 28th, 2019. Presidential candidate Kamala, we need to have Medicare for all. That's just the bottom line. May 12th, 2019. I support Medicare for all, but I really do need to clear up what happened on that stage. Let's get rid of waste, not private insurance companies. June 26, 2019, raises hand on stage to abolish private health insurance in favor of government-run plan. July 17th, 2019, question. People who have private health insurance would eventually have to give that up under your plan. Kamala says they would eventually be covered under Medicare for all. August 19th, 2024. Medicare for all is no longer part of the Harris agenda. Okay, so I mean, Whitley, she took notes. Immigration Part 1, December 4th, 2012. Attorney General Kamala issues bulletin to law enforcement agencies stating ICE federal immigration detainer requests are not mandatory. June 25th, 2014. This is when she's still Attorney General, issues bulletin to local law enforcement. They do not have to comply with ICE detainers. Let's keep going. Immigration Part 2, February 25th, 2018. This is Senator Kamala. Trump's border wall is un-American. January 28th, 2019. Trump's border wall, medieval vanity projects. That's when she's a presidential candidate. June 26, 2019. Vows to decriminalize illegal border crossings. Vows to provide health care to undocumented immigrants. Vows not to deport illegal immigrants who had not committed another crime. February 2nd of 2020, Senator Kamala. Trump's border wall is a waste of money and won't make us safer. March 24th, 2021, Vice President Kamala, appointed to lead the White House effort to tackle the migration challenge at the U.S. southern border and work with Central American nations to address the root causes of the problem. The root cause of the problem are the coups, the sanctions, and the imperialism. August 22nd, 2024, presidential nominee Kamala pledged at DNC convention to sign the bill that would send millions to build the border wall. So somebody help me understand. First, she was against the wall. Then now she's okay with a wall. So what is it? What do you want done here? The flippity flop, flip flop. And Whitley also included screenshots here where she said, dreamers should not be pitted against their families or traded away like some commodity in exchange for an un-American $25 billion wall. and where she's called it a medieval vanity project. So she put receipts there. So we can put the link to this in the chat. I'll put the link there so you can follow that on your own time as well, because she took notes. So last night we were watching the interview and Kamala Harris said that her values have not changed. No, they did change. So she moved to the right on the border, healthcare, border. What was the other one? Healthcare, border, business, immigration. Like I don't, who is Kamala Harris, right? So the flippity flip floppity. But she's not the only one doing any flippity flip floppity flop flop or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what is happening here. Kamala Harris, the Democrat, is moving to the right on key issues that a lot of us on the left are really passionate about, especially healthcare. And now you got Donald Trump, who now he's trying to move to the left. Let me show you. Oh my God. Flippity flip floppy. Listen, people lost their cool today when this went across Twitter. This went viral. People are losing their shit. You got Blue MAGA is upset and MAGA is upset because people are like, what is happening here? Donald Trump is now saying, I am announcing today that under the Trump administration, your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for all costs associated with IVF treatment. Listen to this, fam. I'm not joking.
I'm announcing today in a major statement that under the Trump administration, your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for, all costs associated with IVF treatment, fertilization for women, IVF treatment. Because we want more babies, to put it very nicely. And for this same reason, we will also allow new parents to deduct major newborn expenses from their taxes so that parents that have a beautiful baby will be able. So we're pro-family. Nobody's ever said that before. But the IVF treatments are expensive. It's very hard for many people to do it and to get it. But I've been in favor of IVF right from the beginning. I'm announcing today in a major statement that under the Trump administration, your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for, all costs associated with IVF treatment, fertilization.
So here's the thing, folks. You guys know I approve of Medicare for all. I approve of universal health care. I've participated in protests about this. I've given speeches about this. I agree and approve of it. It is one of the things that attracted me to Bernie Sanders' campaign was the Medicare for all. But I thought Donald Trump said when the government is paying for your health care, that this was socialism. I thought he was against that. What is happening? So how do people feel? How do Trump supporters feel about the government? Is it okay now for him to have the government pay for any type of health care for you? I thought he didn't want that. Lana said, this is an example of Trump being swayed by latest person's story he heard. He heard Tulsi's story and decided to go for it. Colin, the reason why Trump is saying this is because many evangelical Christians have children via IVF. I know a few of them. Okay, but hold on to the evangelical. Hold on for a minute, because we ain't done yet. We're not done. And here's the thing. I don't disapprove of, them helping people to have babies. I know like look, infertility is a struggle. I don't disapprove of that. But I thought that was socialism. I thought that's what he said, right? Like government paying for your health care or running any part of your health care. That's socialism. That's communism. Like, I thought you were against that. And then there's another one. Wait for it. Abortion. So anyways, Ron Filipkowski says, boom. Donald Trump announces today he is now pro-choice on abortion. Listen to this.
You overturned Roe and you want abortion to be a states' rights issue. In Florida, the state that you are a resident of, there's an abortion-related amendment on the ballot to overturn the 6-week ban in Florida. How are you going to vote on that?
Well, I think the 6-week is too short. It has to be more time, and so and I've told them that I want more weeks.
So you'll vote in favor of the amendment?
I am going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. Look, just so you understand. Everyone does.
You overturned Roe and you want abortion to be a states' rights issue. In Florida, the state that you are a resident of, there's an abortion-related amendment on the ballot to overturn the 6-week ban in Florida. How are you going to vote on that?
Well, I think the 6-week is too short. It has to be more time, and so and I've told them that I want more weeks.
So you'll vote in favor of the amendment?
I am going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. Look, just so you understand.
But I thought that Lana said this is going to be the craziest election night ever. Can you imagine? But here's the thing. I thought that again. So to that point, because Rob made this point in the post, Ron made this point in the post. What say you evangelical voters? So how do evangelical Christians feel about Trump saying he's in favor of it going past 6 weeks? Because, you know, Florida has the stricter, I'd say harsher restrictions about abortion. But Trump is saying that, well, no, I think it needs to be longer than 6 weeks. And here's something I'll tell you, too, because the reality is, like, you could be 6 weeks pregnant and still not know you're pregnant. It's just the reality. So, but still, what is happening? Like, what is happening here? So how do evangelicals feel about that? Especially those that feel that the point of conception isn't right. And some do feel that way. So are they still going to support Donald Trump? And if they do, if they're like, oh yeah, fine, no problem, whatever, and still support Donald Trump, was it really about the issue or is it about Donald Trump? I said the same thing about the Kamala Harris supporters. For those who said that genocide was a red line, for those who said that, you know, Medicare for all, or I'm not going to support you or whatever. I'm only going to support Kamala if she pushed forth like progressive policies. And here she is not doing that. And some of them online are like trying to defend her as hard as they can. Some are not. Some trying to defend her as hard as they can. And I'm like, okay, so for you, was it really about Medicare for all? Or do you just like Kamala? Because see, Kamala Harris has no policy platform on her website. So why are you supporting her? What is the reason? And I need another reason other than she's not Donald Trump. Trump at least has policy platform on his website. So we have to ask ourselves this question, guys. Are people supporting these candidates because they like where they stand on the issues? Or are people supporting them because they're party loyalists and they're going to vote for whoever the candidate is in that political party? Or are people supporting them because they like the person? How much of this is personality? One of the things that drew me to Bernie Sanders was, like I told you, the big first thing was Medicare for all, the policy platform, the energy around the policies. But it also didn't hurt that Bernie seemed like a pretty cool dude. He had the likability factor. I want people to start asking that question. Why are you supporting these candidates? Is it because you like them, or is it because you like the issues that they represent. I have no dog in this fight. I'm not supporting either one. So you can let me know. But crazy things are happening, folks. Crazy things. Oh, God. What is it, Lisha? Bernie had good policies. Yeah, he did. A strong domestic platform. Very strong domestic platform. And it spoke to a lot of people. So, yeah. Let's go to some of the comments here. All right. Thank you. I know myself. If Black people vote Dems without demanding, we lost. Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Edward. Kamala is starting to sound like Hillary 2.0. Yeah, buddy. Yeah.